Welcome back, everybody, to Ozarks Traditional Hunting Arrow Build, Part 2. See you in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody, to Ozarks Traditional. I'm Tandy. Today we're going to go into Part 2 of putting our hunting arrows together. I really want to make something very clear to everybody right now. This is not a how-to video. This is a how I am going to do it video. There was a time in my younger days when I shot more precision equipment that I was much more OCD, much more anal, if you will, with the work that I put into my arrow prep and arrow building. At this stage in my hunting career, I don't do competition. I only do hunting, and I only do the hunting for my own benefit, to chase the game and to be in the woods. So take that for what it's worth. I don't quite get again as precision. I shoot instinctive. I shoot traditional archery, and I shoot 3 fingers on the string. So I don't feel the need to have to get quite as as OCD as I used to when I was routinely taking 30 and 40 yard shots with compounds and sights. So with that preface out of the way, we're going to get into the arrow build today, and I'm going to show you the components that I'm going to be using on this build, give you as much information on them as I have to pass on to you in case it's something that you want to use. And I really want to stress right now that in the comments, anybody that has a better way of doing these things, helpful hints, any tips to help anybody else that might be coming along, those comments are absolutely welcome. I love to hear other ideas and other bits of information that you may have that may help others come along. Again, I've shot archery for years, but I'm real new into traditional archery, and this is the way that I'm preparing myself to go into this fall's hunt. So I welcome every comment and every suggestion that you guys have. So with that being said, with that out of the way, let's get into this build. What do you say? First of all, I'm going to go through some of the components that I have again. And we'll go back to the overhead camera on this so you can see some of these. So the shaft that I have chosen is the Gold Tip Warrior. It's a 500 spine. It says 7.4 grains per inch, but if you were with me in part 1 of this arrow build, we weighed this whole shaft and found that they are actually a 7.3. The ones that I have are, anyway, 100% carbon arrows. They're very comparable and in the same family as the Gold Tip Hunter, and the Gold Tip Hunter has been an arrow chosen by bow hunters and archery shooters in the whitetail world for decades. So I feel real comfortable in choosing this arrow. My setup is going to be a 50-pound recurve, so just to let you know that part. With that, for an insert, I'm going to be using the Gold Tip 100 grain brass nock. Now, these are sold by Gold Tip. That's the packaging that they come in, and included in this package, I'm going to offer their cautionary statements, and I'll come in on this so it'll be easy to read and give enough time to do it. They tell you right off the top, do not use hot melt adhesives on carbon arrows. Well, I'm going to get away from that just a moment, because the adhesive that I'm going to be using is the Boning Ferrolite Cool Flex. This is a low temperature hot melt adhesive. So it is safe for carbon shafts. It's actually a very good adhesive for carbon shafts. I've used them for a number of years. It's a good adhesive, it works well, and at the temperatures that you use these, it will not harm your carbon arrows. But if you feel inclined to use Gold Tip's warning not to do so, then they tell you, what to use and how to use it on the backside of the card included in the Gold Tip insert package. So there's that disclaimer out of the way. So do as you will. Now, for part of my criteria, if you'll remember, I wanted high visibility. So what I'm doing to try to enhance that, I'm going to be using wraps that I build myself, and these I just got from Walmart, from a local Walmart store. It's premium vinyl permanent adhesive for the Cricut machine. It comes in a 12-inch by 48-inch. This is a 4-foot roll for about $6. This is the same material. If you don't want to use it from Cricut, you can get the brand is Oracle, O-R-A-C-L-E 651, Oracle 651. It's the same stuff. This stuff comes in at about 1.1 grains per square inch. So I'm going to be using a 6.5-inch wrap, so it's going to add basically 7 grains. I think on the last video I had said 8, but after putting one on and measuring and subtracting the backing, it came out to about 1.1 grains per inch. So I will cut one of these real quick, show you how I do that. This is just a Fiskars cutter that it's used for trimming craft projects. So in your hobby department, at the Hobby Lobby, at the Walmart, wherever, they'll have these or like products available. For cutting the 6.5-inch piece, you just unroll, put it into it, take it back out to the 6.5-inch mark that's out here, and this has got a little roller blade that just slices right over it. I've already cut a couple off of this one. It's already at 6.5 inches, so I'm just going to show you the ease. So as you'll see, 6.5 inches, and to cut these, I just move out to the 1-inch mark. Square that up, and this just cuts right across, and I've got a perfect 1-inch wrap. Now, 1 inch is not fit all. Let me say that right now. This is going to depend on your arrow shaft itself, on the diameter. I don't know how many of you remember your high school math, but the circumference of a circle is the formula pi r squared. Another way of saying that, r just stands for the radius of a circle. Well, the radius times the radius is your diameter. So you take pi times the diameter. Now, this little set of digital calipers maybe $8 or $10 at any little part store. They will be totally sufficient for doing this. Most of the time you can go to the shaft manufacturer's website. It'll tell you what the outside diameter of the arrow is. But if you don't have access to that, then 0.29. If you want to be a little more, you can spend a little bit more money on a more advanced set of calipers. .291. So using that formula, pi times the diameter, then we come out with about 0.94 inches is the circumference, or the circumference around this arrow. So I use a 1-inch wrap, which will give me about 0.08 to 0.09 overlap on the wrap on the arrow. So that gives me enough adhesion back on itself. So for a thinner arrow, you can cut your wrap a little thinner. For a fatter arrow, you can add a little bit more to it. This way right now, with 48 inches of the premium vinyl on this roll, 12 inches wide, for every 6.5 that I cut off of it, I get 12 wraps out of, so I get a dozen out of every 6.5 inches I cut off. The whole roll, I can get 88 wraps off of that roll for $6. If you have a Cricut machine, if you know somebody that has a Cricut machine, you can even put the graphics on them and go ahead and pre-cut everything. No worries there. Now, Cricut also has a little bit thinner one that comes in 8.5 by 11 inch sheets. This one works. I have used it. This is a thinner material, where this is slightly over 1 grain per inch. This is slightly under. It comes a little over 3/4 of a grain per inch, if I remember correctly. But it is a thinner material, and it's a little harder to get the backing off. I find these a little bit thicker materials a little bit easier to take the backing off. There we go. So you really don't want to get oils and everything on your fingers while you're messing with this stuff. And I just got a hair on there off of my mustache, but we're going to let it go anyway. These are really quite easy to do. You line them up on the edge, bump them up into the edge, and then just begin a slow roll, putting a little pressure over the top of it, and that's it. Again, it's not quite as easy as taking it off the preformed sheets, but again, if you have a Cricut machine, you can do those cuts yourself and put any kind of labeling or design or anything else that you would like to have on it. So we'll do one more real fast. And I probably should have mentioned, and I apologize for not doing so, these shafts I have already prepped and cleaned. with 91% isopropyl alcohol and cotton swab. I just dab it on there, wipe them off, and let them dry. So that's it for adding the wraps. Short, simple, to the point. This is just a mouse pad, easy to get the right pressure. If you don't have a mouse pad available, then a magazine works just fine. All right, so we're back. We have our aerosol in place. Our wraps are on. Good adhesion, good adhesion, and they look nice. There's no air bubbles. So I'm cutting these shafts to a length of 29 inches. So I'm going to set that on my scale. Like that. And then I will double check. Now, my length is going to be coming from the throat of the nock to the end of the carbon. So with that, this little piece here comes out to the throat of the nock and measures to the inside of the blade. So just real quickly, I will double check. So I'm bumping the blade. I'm going to ease back on that just a touch. Right there, to assure that I'm getting the cut that I want. Now we're bang on. 29 inches. Going to make a little noise. It'll only be a minute. Now the motion I'm using to make these cuts, I hold the nock end against the inset of my holder, put it on there, then I cut into and rotate as I'm going to cut my carbon pieces off. Now I've got a little deburr that I lightly work on. Take off any little burrs left on. Now, believe it or not, I own a G5 arrow squaring device. I don't have it with me now because I also own a son, and my son has it sitting on his archery bench that he's still working on his compound bows and doing more precision work that I do. So actually, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this back out of the way just a touch. So this is a device that came, I do believe, with some Easton axis for squaring off the ends that have their HIT, their hidden insert technology. But I've kept it over the years, and it's just a real easy tool to use. It's just got a little bump in the middle of it that you place the arrow over, put a little pressure against, and rotate it against this sandstone. And that just squares up and cleans off the end of the carbon shaft. And that is complete. Now, moving from that, I like to take, again, my isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip. And clean these out to about the depth that I will be inserting my insert. And that just gets the debris out of the shaft. That's done. So next what we're going to do is this little tool that I've built. It is really just, it's a piece of cut off carbon shaft that I have put an insert in one end and a nock in the other. It's this is just a brass cleaning brush, 22 caliber, 0.224, same threads, they all use the same. I use this actually for a couple of different things, but right now I just insert this and I use it just to kind of score and rough up just a little bit the inside of the carbon shaft. And it doesn't do much. It just puts enough to have a little bit more adhesion for the Cool Flex glue. Okay. Now, I don't worry about a lot of heat. This is just an alcohol burner. It could be done on a candle if you wanted to, because it just doesn't take much heat, but the candle's going to give off soot where the alcohol burner will burn clean. What I like to do is just take just a regular head and a pair of pliers, just very easily, don't add a lot of heat, but again, you're working with carbon shafts, so it doesn't take a lot. Just warm it up a little, warm up the end of the glue stick just a little, and get a good coating on the insert. Once you have a good coating of glue on, put it into the shaft, slowly turning as you go in until you seat it all the way. Hold it just a second, give it a quick little spin. And once we do the other two, we'll clean off that excess glue that is cooled on the end. There we have it. So now, after just a brief time, we just peel the excess glue off. Clean as a whistle. And now we have our inserts. So where we're going next, I have already shown you. I'll be using the Magnus Stinger 2-blade 150 grain as my chosen broadhead. So I've got the 100 grain brass insert in, 150 for 250 grains up front on a 29-inch cut throat nock to back of insert. So it's not a full 29 inches of carbon. It's actually, it's actually 28.5 inches of actual carbon. And then a lighted nock is going to go in. And these nocks that I'm using are this little brand right here. I got them off of Amazon. I will provide a link. Now, the one thing you need to remember when you're purchasing for your arrows is you need to know the inside diameter of your arrow shaft before making the purchase. These happen to be for the gold tip at 0.246. I've got another set for another arrow, and the other arrows that I have are a 0.244 inch. So be aware of what size you need to order. They also have these little nocks available that have bushings in them, so that you can add the nock and the bushing. It may add just a little bit of weight to it. These that are the specific size of the shaft, these come in at 25 grains, and they come in different colors. These are blue, these are green. They have them, well, you got red, yellow, green, blue, and then they've got multicolors that come into them. So your choice, your preference. But I thought you might want to see those. Now, in my quiver, I always carry, I've got 4 arrow quivers, and in my quiver I always have 3 broadheads and a judo point. I like to shoot, do a little stump shooting, or shooting at a piece of bark or something on the ground on my way back out of the stand. And sometimes when I get up into the stand, I will shoot at a dead stump or something just to get my draw arm broke in and ready to go. So I always carry a judo point with me. Now, they don't make a 150 grain judo. So what I have done is use the 120 grain glue on with a 30 grain broadhead screw-in adapter. So these little 30 grain adapters you can epoxy, or usually what I use is just the standard ferrite glue for putting them in. They adhere very well. Do it the same way putting in the inserts into the arrows, but when you heat it up, apply the glue, then this fits in just like that. and then you've got a 150 grain judo head that will match the 150 grain that I'm shooting as my tip weight. So I wanted to show that to you. I purchased these components from Big Jim's Bow Company. They've got different weights of the adapters, different weights of the heads, so pick and choose the ones that match your intended use and weight requirements. Well, that is as far as we're going to take it on this trip. I'm going to put lighted nocks into these other two, and the next time that we come back in to work on it is going to be part 3. It'll be the last and final. We'll use fletching, fletch up the arrows, standing by our criteria of higher visibility. I'm going to be using some gateway feathers. My hand feathers will be white, and I'm going to bling it up just a little bit with some tree yellow as my cock feather. So these I'll be fletching up into it using my Arizona Easy Fletcher. The next time we come, we'll add the broadheads to it. I will show you how to broadhead a line just by, if you're using the Cool Blue, the Cool Flex from Boning, then you can just dip them in some hot water and adjust, and I'll give you that demonstration next time when we come back to finish our arrow build. So we will fletch, we will walk back outside, I will shoot the arrows through the chronograph to make sure that that our criteria was met for the speed-wise part of it, and then we will shoot the arrows in a dusk setting to show you the visibility of the arrow in flight. So there we are. We have it. We're finished with this part. Look forward to seeing you back on part 3 of our arrow build. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you get a notice when the next one comes out so that you don't miss it. And I've got all of these episodes in a playlist. I've got 2 different playlists. One is the Beginner to Bow Hunter series, and the other is our Tools for Self-Reliance series that's going on. So I'll hit links to those coming up and the subscribe button. And we will see you next time. And again, as always, y'all come back